All right, how's everyone doing? Thanks for tuning into the Rich CELENZA show. WTF are you talking about? I'm Rich CELENZA. So, what I want to talk about today is what I'm calling Is Something Haunting You? And I know I sometimes come up with these crazy titles, but I try to come up with things that I went through or I think other people have gone through that I've seen over the years. And one thing I realized being around a lot of people in different businesses and even being in the entertainment industry to a certain degree and writing a couple books, for instance, and now doing some YouTube videos and podcasts and all this stuff is a lot of people want to do a lot of things and it almost haunts them. But for some reason, they don't go after it. And it's not kind of like saying, like going after your dreams, let's say. A lot of people are like, oh, you didn't go after your dreams and blah, blah, blah. And it's not like that necessarily. It doesn't have to be that even big of a deal. It could be something very small that you wanted to do, or it could be something really big too. And I think a lot of people don't do it because they're afraid or they're in fear of actually doing it. And then after doing it, not having anything else kind of to do, or doing it and then afraid of what people are going to think of them or think of whatever they did, if it fails or if it's successful or not. And that's what I mean by haunting you. So I think I went through that years and years and years ago regarding making my first film. Most of my life, all I did was talk about making movies, wanting to make a movie. Never made a movie, and my friend finally says, oh my God, I can't take it anymore. Would you just go make a movie? And I was like going at 30 years old. And I think from when I first saw Raging Bull is when I really said, I got to make a movie. Because that was, and still is, my favorite movie of all times. And that was the type of movies I wanted to make. But it was haunting me, like for years. And I kept trying to fill in all these voids of being obsessed watching movies and even writing these like small screenplays, always talking about movies, going to film festivals, all these different types of things, reading tons about different directors, reading things about the film industry, watching so many documentaries, all these different types of things. And I wanted to make my own movie and just never did it. And it almost made me crazy after a while. And I think I didn't even realize I was making everybody else crazy as well. Always talking about making a movie and then never having the balls to go do it, which eventually I went on to go do. Which, was it successful? I don't know. And I will say it was the most excruciating and most rewarding and excruciating time of my life. I didn't know what I was doing. And this was back in 99. And then, I didn't really know how to use a camera, so I kept depending on other people, and I didn't know how really to cast. I had a screenplay that it took me a long time to write, and it wasn't like now technology-wise, even being able to, going back and forth, setting up schedules. You could text people now, or you can email. People weren't even doing a lot of those things back in 99. I'm not saying they didn't email, but it wasn't like... Even a lot of people didn't even have cell phones, a lot of actors that I would use and not use. It was just very frustrating. I was in a certain budget, but I did it. And then when I was through it, I remember at the premiere, I had a sport coat on, and I took it off, and I threw it into the air, and I think I threw it at my uncle, who was one of the leads in the film, where I hugged him. And I just felt like I was relieved. I almost, you hear those goofy sayings like, I could die now, or how do they say that? Like I could die in peace. I could die, I could rest. But I think a lot of people that I run into, especially lately with working out and things, a lot of people, they've always wanted to work out, for instance, or get in better shape, or quit doing something that they've done for years, and it kind of haunts them. And I'm here to tell you, I get it, and you're not alone. I think every person in the world, for the most part, has something they want to get done that they haven't gotten done. And the thing I tell people, at least from what I've seen, is it takes time, and it takes a lot of balls to do whatever this thing is. And it could be as simple as, it may not even be simple, but a lot of people I know want to write their own book, start writing a blog, do their own YouTube page, do their own podcast, all these different types of things. People come up to me, they want to make a movie, or, all these different types of things, which I'm like, you just have to decide when you want to start doing this. But I think when people think about doing something like that, it overwhelms them because they think they have to go all in. And sometimes you do. But there are ways, I think, on slowly getting into anything. And if you know anything about me, I'm always talking about doing things slowly and as slow as possible, actually. I don't care if you're trying to gain weight, build muscle, lose weight, trying to quit smoking, habits, whatever. I am all about the slow. I am truly a sloth. I think for the most part, anything that I've ever done where I jumped in head first and went full throttle, I didn't know what I was doing. And by me going slower, just worked better for me. I'm almost more like the guy who goes the speed limit. And if you're on an expressway, which, if you're too slow, you could cause a lot of accidents, right? And if you're too fast, you may be more alert, but you can also cause accidents. But kind of if you're in the middle, you can kind of see accidents kind of prevent something, and you kind of just maneuver your way through traffic without any accidents, without having the speed, without interfering with anybody else, being near. I try to avoid all the cars, and that's kind of what I try to do in life as well. I'm trying to maneuver to get where I want to be. Does it always work? No. But the one thing I can say is things that usually haunted me, I was able to accomplish. Now, did I always succeed at the level I wanted? Probably not. Because I think sometimes, or a lot of people, they have these really high, certain people, I may be one of those people, have these high, I want very high results. But my problem is I get haunted by something, and then I get obsessed with it, and then I can't stop until I'm done with it. I'm not going to say I'm a flip-flopper, but I go from one thing to another. So I'll literally go from making one film to another, to co-producing, to writing one book to another book. And then I'll be doing a YouTube, then I'll do a program on confidence, then all of a sudden I'm doing a podcast. That's how I have to move through things. So I'm kind of the opposite of, I think, a lot of people who are procrastinators. Because a lot of people I run into, they're like, Rich, I want to do this, but you do it with me, or could you do it for me? It'll be like, all right, I got a movie idea. Can you write the script? I'm like, no, I can't. Or I have an idea for a book. Could you help me be a ghostwriter or whatever? Or no, I can't. People don't realize, I have my own things to do and time, and I love helping people. And I know most people I give advice to, it's going in one ear out the other. But I do believe a lot of people, if you look around, you can do like what you really want to set out to do, as long as it's not too nuts, I think, to a certain degree, and completely unrealistic. But for the most part, what is unrealistic? I mean, if you think differently, that's who's going to make the changes. So I would say to anybody, if something is haunting you, to really start going for it. Because most of the time, where you start off is never where you end up. If that makes sense. Yeah, sure. Let's just take, for instance, it could be you getting in shape. It could be you making a movie. It could be you writing a book. It could be you starting your own business. Where you think it's going to end is usually, for the most part, not usually where it ends. Because where you begin is when it starts to evolve. It's like anything else. And as you go through certain things, you don't realize, one, how hard it's going to be to maybe get to your final, destination as far as completing it, but you also may be evolving and changing your mind and going different ways throughout that. I was creating an app called the You Around app, and I was pretty dead set on it. And of course, I thought I would do it in a year. I'm still not completed with it, and it's 3 years. As usual, I take on these endeavors that are crazy, but it was haunting me because I would say one of the things that haunted me in my life more than anything was wanting to help people. And, you hear about people wanting to always, feed people that are starving. I get it. Help the homeless, right? Help the sick. I don't know what it is, but I always wanted to help people. But I think one thing, most people are talking shit. They really don't. And I don't mean that as a dig. I think people do want to help other people. They don't have the resources. They don't have the money. They may not have the time. And sure, you can go help at Thanksgiving, or you may be able to help donate, or whatever the case may be, put in some time. But I'm talking about like really impact society by helping a lot of people. So I always thought about that over the years. So I created an app called the You Around app. It's to help people in a time of need. I'm still working on that, and I think I want to jump back into that very soon. It was just one of those things that was costing more and more money, and I had some issues at the beginning actually with somebody trying to steal it from me, and I also had an issue with someone trying to sell it, behind my back, kind of. It's a damn dirty business. But I haven't completed that, and that's kind of been haunting me a little bit, my You Around app. But what I found quite interesting and what I wanted to mention is where I started with that app and then how I had it structured. And I thought I had every base covered because I really worked on it. Actually, I should say I worked on it for like a year, and then I worked on working on it for a year. So just coming up with the concept and going back and forth and making sure that if you do this on the app, it does this, and if it does this, it does that. And all the, you'd be shocked that when you go to create something, even something you don't realize is simple, is an app or anything, you think, oh, you just hit this button here and it does this, and then you do this here and it does this and it does that and it does this. All the intricacies, I think is the word, all the other things. And then you realize if you do this, it doesn't work this way. And if you do that, then they're confused because of this, and how you navigate through it and how to make it as simple as possible. But, what I was trying to say to you is no matter what you do from the beginning, whatever is haunting you that you want to start to discover or what you want to get done may be a lot different than you think once you get into it. And it could be as easy as hypothetically saying, I was around a lot of comedians when I was younger. Say you want to be a stand-up comedian and you end up doing stand-up. You may not be successful, or you may be, but then before you know it, you may be writing, you could be writing a screenplay for a film, television. You may end up a writer for a show on television, one of the late night shows, or a writer for who knows, right? You can even end up a writer for another comedian. So sometimes when you think about what is haunting you, right, try to go after that, or at least start it, I tell people, because it may be an adventure that is sending you somewhere else. You just don't know it yet. And I'm all about the, going on the adventure and figuring that out. But I think a lot of people, back to what's haunting them, are things that they want to experiment when they think they're so cut and dry. They think, hey, I'm going to try stand-up. I'm going to go on stage and I'm going to bomb. And then there goes my stand-up career. Well, you may be good at stand-up. You may not be. It may take you years to evolve. But just like I told you, you may end up in a totally different direction that you never thought about, which is incredible. And I think the people that usually end up doing incredible things are open-minded enough to understand that and evolve. So if you are one of these people that is always, and I think I'm not going to speak for everybody, at least in the United States or North America. I think all of us have something that is haunting us or that we've wanted to do. And it doesn't always have to be something like that. Like, I see a lot of, say you take women, even older women, that always wanted to dance, for instance. They ended up having a family in the 50s, 60s, 70s, and they wanted to be a dancer. They never went to pursue that. And then, it's not too late to go dance or take certain dance classes. And I'm just using that for an example. But it doesn't always have to be so heavy on yourself or so, big, I guess you could say. Yeah, sure, you're not going to become a professional dancer anymore. You're not young in Vegas or be a showgirl or whatever, whatever it is, somebody who travels all over the country and, dances for competitions. Maybe that is over for you. But then again, maybe it isn't. But my point being is just going and doing something that you've always wanted to do, and how that just turned you into a different person. And, you see, even back to actors, I'm just using them for an example because so many people understand, they see actors. A lot of great actors, they really don't come into their own until their 40s, 50s, even 60s. Now, they may not be a leading man or things in that nature, but they are very busy. They're very talented, and a lot of them, they wanted to act for many years, and they were afraid. They had a business or they had a family, and it always haunted them again that they wanted to do this. They just never did it. And I've worked with guys that were very talented that actually were actors, but never ready to go even to the next level, or they were just starting off. And I'm like, wow, you are great at this. Like, you're one of the best actors I've ever been around, and you don't even have an agent. And they're almost afraid to go take things to the next level, or say, you know what, I'm going to take a chance and maybe do more theater. Or I'm going to take a chance and maybe, I'm not saying move to California hypothetically or New York, but just, taking things to the next level. And that can also be a form of something that may be haunting you, because you may have started something amazing and then you kind of quit on yourself, or you have these restrictions on yourself where, hey, you know what, I always wanted to, again, be a comedian or an actor, or I wanted to start my own business. I did. It's very, and it just stops at a certain point. You're afraid to kind of take it to the next level, and I get that. I think most people are, especially when it's people that are middle-aged or older nowadays. They get afraid of marketing. They get afraid of the internet. They get afraid of websites and all this type of, shit. So they whatever's been haunting them, they begin, and then they kind of freak out. And I just did a yoga class with a guy, and he's awesome. And then he said, please spread the word. He goes, the one thing I'm horrible at is marketing and getting my name out there and all these type of things. And I'm thinking, what you're doing in here is actually the hard work. Marketing, you could even hire someone. That's kind of the easy work. And he even said that's been kind of holding him back. So if you know what's holding you back, if you've started something, that could be something that's haunting you as well. You just have to take an honest approach at all these different levels of things that, that are weighing on you. And I when I say haunting, I don't mean in a bad way, obviously. I mean things that are sometimes just always in the back of your head every day, things you wanted to try, want to do, whatever the case may be, taking things to the next level. And that could be even maybe changing your profession. It could be, like I said, starting a business. It could be maybe even starting a family, maybe wanting kids, whatever it is. I don't know what it is, because we all have our own thing at certain times. But if it's weighing on you, go on and experiment. At least start. I tell people, start anything. I know a lot of people want to write a book. I'm like, for one, figure out who your audience is, but don't worry about publishing or any of these things. Now, if you're famous and you have connections and all that, that's different. I'm talking about the average Joe. If you want to write a book, just start writing something. Quit talking about it. If you want to write a screenplay, just start writing something. You don't even have to get obsessed and go out and get final draft if you don't have the money to do it. Just start writing your story. If you want to go out and start a business, right, whatever business it is, maybe not borrowing money to open the business. If it's a business you're not involved in, maybe go learn that business. Go work part-time, even if you work for free. Maybe if you want to start, even I tell people that are trying to lose weight, you don't have to run to a gym, sign up for a gym, get a trainer, go on a diet, and do all these crazy things. You losing weight, you could just start walking every night. You could walk a mile, 2 miles, whatever the case may be. Just start slow and then progress. Don't burn yourself out. And that's the same with working out with weights. You don't have to go in there and, you may have liked bodybuilding or powerlifting in your past, and you think, oh my God, I'll never be able to lift weights like this. I'll never be able to look like this. You'd be shocked at what you could turn your body into or evolve into mentally and physically. You just have to realize it's going to take a lot of time. So yeah, I'm going to wrap it up there. If you get a chance, you might want to check out my YouTube channel. It's Rich CELENZA. I also have a website, richcelenza.com. I have a Mastering Self-Confidence program, and I'm on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. So that's all I got for you today. Take care, and if you're traveling, safe travels.